Tim snuck one in on me, but he may have snuck one in.
So it's now 5:30. I'd like to call the monthly Board of Directors meeting to order. This is being recorded. The first item on is approval of the agenda. Simeon will not be here this evening. He's has some other things going on. I don't know whether it's out of town or exactly what, but he did send me an email that he would not be here. So I have a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second. The only thing we can probably add that under what, old business
Or board comments.
or board comments? Okay, we'll just put it on the board comments. So all in favor of accepting the agenda as written, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yes, there are none. And public comments, and I think, Jerry, you had something to offer this evening.
Under board comments, but
Under, yeah, okay. All right,
oh, there's no guests, so
all right,
yeah.
right, I'm sorry.
I might have something too.
Item 5, excuse me,
I might have something as well.
okay.
Okay. I was gone last month, and I read on the minutes that there was a discussion with a tone of favorability of possibly taking on the cost of removing the tree clippings that were left by PUD when they trimmed under their easement 2 years ago. Yeah. And this had briefly been brought up at the meeting before, and I think I kind of indicated with sighs and rolling my eyes that I wasn't in favor of it, but it really wasn't postured for discussion yet, so I didn't go into detail. At this point, probably I'd like to just raise some concerns about that. The reason, as I understand it, for clearing off, first of all, I understand the PUD cut those clippings and left whole branches underneath the easement when they cleared it, probably out of concern for fire, because like in California, the utilities have been sued for not clearing fire dangers away from their wires, but they left these whole branches, and that left a concern that there's still a fire hazard there. And I think it was my approaching the PUD on behalf of the ONA with that concern that caused them to come back, and they cut the branches up into smaller pieces, but they still left them there. They may have taken some of the bigger pieces, but they left considerable brush. And as I understand it now, there's the remaining concern, especially in Terrace, of continued fire hazard, that dried brush and stuff being there.
It was brought up at their annual meeting. They asked me to look into it.
Yeah, the HOA, right?
Correct.
So, as I understand it, the reason for our clearing would be concern for possible liability over, and concern for a fire, not just the liability, but not wanting to be, creating a risk for a fire. My concern is that right now, if there were a fire, the homeowners involved would get their house and their damage paid for by their insurance companies. Their insurance companies would then look for someone to get their money back. The first place they would look, under the reasoning so far, is that, that somehow we would be liable because it was clippings on our land. But we did not cut those clippings. We did not leave them there. We expressed concern to the PUD about the brush in the first place, and they took an action to fix it. In liability terms, if we were approached by the insurance company of a homeowner whose home was burned, at this point, we're in the posture of saying, you're suing us for negligently handling those clippings. We didn't handle those clippings. The PUD handled those clippings. Get your money from them, or alternatively, they sue us. We would bring PUD into the lawsuit and say, not us, them. And that would go to trial on that basis. And really, factually, we had no involvement except to ask that it be removed, which did not contribute to the fire. If we now voluntarily take on the task of clearing that brush, and there's a fire anyway, now we are the ones who didn't appropriately handle the brush enough to keep a fire from handling. We are going to take on their liability that they didn't approach, correctly in my view in the first place. I was I was under the impression it wasn't feasible to remove the brush. Apparently it is. If it is, I don't think it's our ratepayers' obligation to pay for clearing it. One. Two, by clearing it, we're going to expose our ratepayers and our insurance company to possible exposure for not doing it correctly if there's a fire anyway. I think the correct way to handle this is to approach the PUD again and also let the HOA know that we share this concern. We attempted to get the PUD to act on it. We are again asking the PUD to act upon it and let them decide now whether they're going to take on this liability or whether they think they're not liable, in which case we're in no worse position than we were before. So I would say the prudent move here is to tell the PUD, we've explored it, it is feasible, there's a cost, and we think it's their obligation to ask them once again to remove the clippings. And also let them know that if there's a problem with damage because of the clippings, we will be looking at them to take on that liability. So,
Jerry, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Just a matter of order, and I don't remember if we voted on this while Jerry was out of town. I don't, okay, so we didn't vote.
We did not.
No, no decisions have
We just
specifically
discussed it.
been made. It was just deferred, I believe.
Yeah,
The attorney, and
the
I'm.
conclusion was you were gonna give, me information for another contact. That's what.
Yeah, and I got you Billy's info the other day, and
Yes,
but we haven't.
and I
nothing's been done,
contacted him.
so I'm totally fine that if the attorney says don't do it, then it puts us at greater risk. And I agree. I think we should send a letter to the HOA saying you need to reach out to PUD.
And he also expressed, the fire chief also expressed at this time of the year not to be using chainsaws.
oh yeah,
Yeah, we
No, I
would
read
have
that.
to move this into fall or winter.
Anything that would
anyway.
Yeah.
cause sparks.
Yeah,
no, and I just, my reading of the notes was that it was basically being considered favorably enough to continue getting bids. So I just thought I should let my thoughts be known on it. Regardless, I'm willing to be outvoted, and I'm not the board's lawyer. So that's me
so
giving.
you are a lawyer.
I'm a lawyer giving you my input. If we want to get an official legal opinion, we have lawyers to do that. I'm not a practicing lawyer. I don't have, my license is inactive. So,
I'm a Google attorney.
Yeah.
That doesn't give me any real standing.
okay, thanks, John. I just.
So I might just add that if there were fires and if their homes were damaged, we own the property, so they're gonna sue us too.
Oh, sure.
I mean, you know,
They'll bring us into the lawsuit.
what you're partially stating is our defense, I think.
Well, cross claim.
Yeah, correct.
We're a lateral. If
Yeah.
they sue us, well, if we're liable, we're passively liable. The active liability is over here. And under the law, it's the active
So-
liability.
There's more than just sticks and branches there.
So I'm not opposed to anything you're saying, but let me get to what I think was the bottom line that you were saying was that we would send a letter to PUD and also inform the HOA with another letter that we are in discussions or we are going to PUD, that we believe it's their responsibility.
Yeah, I don't think we'd be taking formal legal positions. We'd be
Correct.
responding to their request to look into the matter. And we've looked into the matter and determined that we're going to ask the folks who actually left the clippings there if they would
Okay, okay.
take that on, and we'll let them know what we find out without admitting any kind of liability ourselves.
Jim, you have something else you're thinking?
Oh, well, I was just reading the stuff that we got, and I was just thinking that maybe sometime in the near future, we should set aside some time on the agenda to talk about number 8. Which is,
The audit.
yeah, that's the operations summary,
Oh,
which is kind of a planning document in my mind. that
Okay,
you
well,
put out.
I'm sorry, I thought you had some additional comments to offer on the removal of
Oh,
the trees
Sorry.
and branches.
getting ahead of myself.
Change the subject.
Well, and he did. He said this is not just twigs. He did comment.
Yeah,
I commented.
yeah. So,
I don't think my comments required any official action.
can you rough draft something?
Sure.
Okay. That would be great. So please, go ahead.
Well, we never really get into the meat of it, you know, of what Dan's proposing here. There was stuff that we're gonna have to deal with down the road. So,
Okay.
I mean, we don't have to do it tonight. I'm just saying maybe, you know, sooner than later.
Which document is that? I'm gonna
It's-
Cover on that one. Oh, the operations. Okay.
This is item 8 under his report.
Yep,
Yeah, operation summary.
Okay.
I do put updated, the last time I updated it. But if the board has any specific questions on any of it, we can, I
Sure,
can
we'll get to
certainly,
that.
I'll certainly answer.
no, I know, I'm just saying that I think we kind of gloss over it every month. And there's some really important things that are gonna be something we're gonna have to deal with in the future, but futures come sooner than later sometimes.
So, yeah, and I think Dan expanded this a good deal in the course of the last year, primarily that it would support any changes to future budgets
Right,
and that the information would be in front of us as that process went on. But you're right. I mean, there's things to discuss in
about.
detail.
so we don't get blindsided.
Yeah.
Jim, for my edification, what, do you have specific things that, since I'm the newbie, what things are sticking out in your mind that we need to kind of keep an eye on? Or we wanted to
Well,
go more into,
How about,
or is that too far down the road?
no, I mean,
No.
why don't we go through
When we go through
the
it with
agenda,
Dan?
and then when we get to that
When I put the
item,
district report, I already have a couple of things I could point out to the board if they,
Yeah.
if they.
yeah, if you don't mind, that,
No, that sounds great.
okay. Okay, so we have, any other board questions or comments? Review of the minutes of July 18th, regular board meeting minutes. A motion to accept the minutes.
Motion to accept the minutes?
I'll second that.
All right. Questions, comments?
You're looking at it.
If there's no suggested changes or additions, all in favor, say aye.
All right,
Aye.
Aye. It's approved.
Not even vote.
31 July financial statements for review of all funds. Motion to accept the financial statements.
Accept the financial statements.
Second,
I'll second that.
discussion.
Dan, is our cash carryover gonna be okay? Are we doing okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Am I correct in understanding that, because we have one fewer position filled, there's probably gonna be a cash carryover on the personnel expense.
There will be a surplus in that. There's 2 positions now.
Okay,
So if you look on page 1, you'll see the 2 that are at 0. Office specialist and operator.
yeah.
Was it, did you explain to me earlier in the month, I think on page 5, was it Umpqua Bank, that 96,000? It shows in red, even though it's not. I think did you mention,
Well, yeah,
explain to the board what is going on?
so, how do I explain? So, generally, when you write a check, you check that category, that fund, to make sure that there is enough funds in there before you write the check. Because once you enter the check, if you haven't already transferred from the LGIP, it comes up showing as a negative. Okay, this was just an accident on that. It was just unlighted. So this is internal bookkeeping. This is not what's in the bank. This is not how you would write a check and then, oh, no, the check bounced. Okay, it doesn't work the way. What you see on this financial statement is our internal software, not exactly what the bank would show. So I want the board to understand that negative 96,000 is not a bounce check. It's not an overage. It was just an operational mistake.
Totally
That's
get
all.
it.
Yeah.
LGIP's weird because it takes a week for the money to transfer sometimes, and sometimes it's 2 weeks, and whenever the state feels like it. It's an odd system.
Well, yes, but with us, it was just an operational, it's a learning curve.
Yeah, I
It's a
totally
learning curve
understand.
is all it was. Just a timing issue. The auditors, I will share, was concerned greatly, and talked to Aaron and I quite a bit, that
This was yesterday, they
oh,
were,
they were here the longest we've ever had. And what they're seeing throughout, it's not just this district, but all their other clients, that the board members or council, they don't understand this document.
Mhm.
Okay? When you start your new fiscal year, one of the big ones he talked to me about is you budgeted for the year, but it takes you 12 months to get it. Most board members think that, or councils or some, think that money's there July 1, and it's not. You gather that throughout the year. So a lot of these debits, credits, a lot of these percentages aren't, they're for accounting. They're not really actuals. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you should know that.
We call it the fake budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's running into a lot of that, it seems like, and he wanted to sit us down and explain that, make sure that the board understands how, because debits and credits are different in accounting than they are in how you would do your own personal finance. So they can be a bit confusing. So, and like cash carry forward, you can't start your new fiscal year with 0 cash carry forward. You just can't.
You won't make it to November.
You won't make it till the end of July. Yeah. So anyway, I just want to let the board know that if there's any questions or something you don't understand, we need to explain it to you as we go through these. And if you see red, it doesn't necessarily mean that you bounced a check or you went negative, because you only have one bank account.
any other questions? All in favor of accepting the financial statements, say aye.
All right.
Audit accounts payable for review. Bank reconciliation.
What was the $38,000 repair item? At the end, checks, underground tech.
Second
That-
page.
That, 38,000 was the amount for relining, manholes and doing point repairs for
Okay.
II deduction.
And you've advised us that work was going on. This was just.
Yeah, it was
invoice got
scheduled,
paid.
yeah. Yeah, you approved that back in, I think, in May or something like that. It's actually less than what you approved.
Nothing you feel you need to call to our attention? I'm not seeing any.
Just shocked nobody asked about the $206,000 check, but that was into the manual transfer switch project for Oceanside Netarts. There's still a balance of about 17,000 left, but we won't pay that till our training and everything has been tested at the end of this month.
So did
Oh, out of the reserve.
the
fund.
supplier of the equipment, are they gonna come in and train? You something about they might use a subcontractor or somebody else to do the training on the,
Well, not a subcontractor, no.
Well,
The
no, but-
manufacturer will send in their reps to start
They
the
will.
generator. Yeah, it's in my district report, but
okay,
they'll come in, do a 4-hour load bank test on the generator, make sure it's good, train us on the operation of the generator, then the contractor will take it down to each pump station, run through setting it up, run through using it. So we have training and testing that everything that they installed works as well.
and if you haven't seen the equipment, sometime go back there to the back building and it's amazing. It's huge. It's a big piece of equipment.
And that's gonna go in at Oceanside, at the bottom.
No, it's the portable one, the backup.
Oh,
Yeah, we'll open the gates and back it in there and we'll do the best we can to lock it up and secure it.
Yeah.
We'll probably purchase some wheeled chalk locks for it by it's sitting out
I
somewhere.
think for that cost, we might just take shifts and.
and sit there with a gun.
Exactly.
I'm glad I can assign that work.
Well, and
I'll volunteer for a shift for that.
you know, I may be speaking out of turn, but if power goes out and all of our backup systems are working as advertised, and for instance, you at the fire department had a serious problem with power, this thing could probably help them out too, in theory,
Well,
provided,
yeah, we'd have to look at whatever load. You've got a emergency generator. I don't know what
yeah.
biggest thing-
KW it is.
To plug it in would be an issue, right?
Yeah, plugging it in, I was gonna say that probably my bigger fear is not sure if the water departments are fully, they have backup generators, but I don't know.
The Netarts water has backup generator. I don't know if Oceanside ever purchased.
That would be my
it.
bigger concern is getting water to the fire hydrants.
Yeah,
But it's not really that simple. You have to be able to connect it into an electrical panel of some sort. So they would have to put in a transfers or be able to tap into their automatic transfer switch.
But we could just come up here and charge our phones.
I was gonna say.
So you just go out-
We'll have a line of people.
You can go.
How many iPhones can we charge off of that?
Off of that? You know.
All of them.
More
Yeah.
than
All the iPhones, we
Yeah,
charge all the
only
iPhones.
like 300 phones and I don't know.
yeah. It's a big machine. So, okay, if there's no other questions, we're down to district report.
Okay, so, treatment plant's running well. Under collections, I'm gonna do one add-in real quick. Zawald cleaning, Zawald will be here to clean the grease from our pump station wet wells. So we will have a Zawald truck at the Netarts boat basin, just so everybody knows.
God.
And
Our phones were in.
I usually always let Alex Manderson at Department, of Department of Ag know that it'll be there in case it gets called and why it's there. So that being said, that is the week of September 16th. So you'll see Zawald's tanker trucks and vac trucks out here. This time we're gonna clean the grease and then we're gonna clean the grit out of the bottom and get those cleaned. So it's usually an annual cleaning. I like to get it done before now, but with everything else we had going on, we just couldn't get two contractors into one area, so. So on July 25th, we had been contacted that the sewer line was plugged off of Terrace. And when we went up there with our equipment, we found that
My
had-
property.
it's
Oh,
the actual sewer line that lies between John and his neighbor's house. That line was relined in 2017. When the contractor cut the line to pull the liner up, we actually have root intrusion through the band clamps that you put the section back in, like a 2-foot section. So we had about 25 or 30 feet long of roots. So with John's help, he went around, we had the homeowners not use their water that night. And we went up there the next day, we got Zawald in with cutters and they cut all the roots out. So then we found where the root intrusion came from. So on, September 3rd, I think we're going to have
Here.
underground check.
The roots in the pipe.
It's just like a science fiction movie.
Underground tech will be here to install what's called two-point repairs.
That's a big root.
That root is the end of it, and that's probably about 25, 30 feet down the line.
Wow.
Yeah.
It grew like a large horsetail coming down. So I've already approved, I've already signed it. I just went for board information. You'll see what it costs to put in 2-point repairs, two footers in that 6-inch line. That should seal that line back up completely where roots cannot enter again. So I want the board to see that. Boss. Oceanside Hotel and then.
So what's
Nothing.
funny, well, I just might add,
Oh.
that sewer line that runs on the easement on the edge of my property and the property next door services 4 homes above. They feed into that particular line, and I don't know, it's kind of interesting as to what kind of easements there are or lack thereof for the feeder.
Well, we only have a sewer utility easement that goes up between your two
Correct.
properties and it stops. I don't know how they managed to get multiple homes, 2, I think, maybe
Gravity
3,
feeding.
coming and hooking into that clean out at the top of that line. There's no sewer easement, and anytime you hook 2 or more homes to one lateral, it becomes a public sewer. So it was put in without any design or approval from DEQ. I can't even tell you when it was put in.
Is that Liz Stevens' house?
Excuse me?
Is that Liz Stevens' house up there?
See,
Liz Stevens?
well, no, I don't think,
Oh,
is
okay.
it?
It was one of John's house.
Young,
Yeah.
Ron Young's place. And the 2 that are a little bit down the hill from him and the one that's above him.
Okay, no, Liz is one step up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I have no records of that line being put in or how many homes actually exist on that line.
That's something we need now to explore.
Well, I don't even know when they were put in. I guess we could go back and see when the homes were built, but it doesn't match what our records say. So.
And what can the consequence of that be if there's something that goes wrong or something that's improper up there?
They gotta work it out.
Well, so it's all private property. We have no jurisdiction over it. Who allowed it, how it happened, I can't tell you. Somebody hooked in it.
But now we know.
But now we know.
So now that we know, this no jurisdiction defense may not work very well. because we are allowing it to continue without taking some steps of some kind.
Yeah.
I don't know what those would be. It's just,
And-
that's a red
We do
flag
know
situation.
that at least one other home feeds into it. We think it's two. But our records show that those homes should be hooked in the street in front of their homes, not behind it coming down the hill.
Well, I guess my question is, what's the consequence of our knowing that now if something goes wrong up there?
So for the homeowner, they would have to terminate their sewer that's basically going into our drain system and then relocate it to the sewer, the public sewer that's in front of their house.
But is there a,
Not really, not really.
Well,
there's no sewer in front of their property, is there?
I think there's a sewer line on the other side, yeah. I don't know if they would have to pump to it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So there are no easements that we
Not a
know of.
zoning issue. For me, it's a lot of regulation issue. It's what is DEQ gonna think about this? Does this give us,
DEQ's not,
okay.
no, we would have to, we would have to contact our engineers to find out, show them what the situation is. And they would tell us what the next steps would be. Then you would have to, you would be into, a district would probably be liable to have to go in and redesign that line for a public sewer. Problem is, I would never approve it to start with because it's not maintainable where it's at. You can't maintain it. There is no access up there.
So now we're on record saying they've got a line that we know about that we would never have approved, which means
It could have
we
been,
don't approve it now.
well, it could have been, well, we would never have approved it for public, for multiple dwellings. Because we don't know how it's laid out, we don't know because there's two taps come out of the clean out. We don't know if this is a single home coming in, which would be legal, and if this is a single home coming in, we don't know. And our equipment, so far, we can't get up far enough into there to inspect it. These guys ran up there in John saw, they ran up there with our handheld portable little units, but it's just not long enough to get through to find how many laterals are hooked to it.
Okay.
So we're assuming that they're on one, they could be on two separate ones going in, which would be legal.
Dan, would it be, this is a dumb question, but would it be possible to literally knock on their doors and ask them to run a scope through, like, from their sewer to find out if there are multiple homes or if it's all tied in together?
That's what I'm saying, the line is so small, we don't have equipment small
Gotcha.
enough to scope it.
Oh, no, it sounded like you didn't have equipment long enough. And he was saying, well, go at it from the top side, but it's too
Either
small.
way, if you go look at where it's at, either way, we can't, our equipment can't get in that smaller lines.
Okay. Just for the minutes, I think I would like to lay out that this is a newly discovered situation. We're not sure if it creates any kinds of practical or legal problems at this point. Because it hasn't caused any so far, we've decided not to take any big action based on this, but we are also not acquiescing to the situation.
So when it was
To
discovered,
protect our options.
when it was discovered in 2017, there was a problem with the line. That was when a property owner had pounded a steel stake through the sewer line. They put up boards to kind of retain the sand. And they did know they had pounded it through a sewer line, creating a void, allowing roots in. We fixed that. But at that point, we didn't know those other homes were coming into it.
No, I understand all of that, and I don't think this is a fault situation, and I'm not trying to place any. I'm just saying now that we know about it, we might have certain obligations. And those obligations might be more than the possible harm merits, trying to balance it out. So at this point, we're not saying, okay, that situation's okay. Hasn't been a problem so far, you know. If it becomes a problem in the future, we're reserving our options to look at it as a situation we never approved. and that by not doing something now, we're not approving it.
It would be considered an illegal hookup.
See, the more you say that,
Well,
the less I'm comfortable not doing
Okay.
anything.
but it would have to be something started by the property owners. I don't want your sewer line running across my lot or something like that.
Okay,
And then once that problem starts between property owners, that's when we will be brought into it.
when you said it might not, it might not be legal. My head's going to our regulations about what we can and can't do safely, life, health and safety. You're talking about whether or not it would be legal.
Or
Property
by our ordinance, it is not a legal setup, if that's what it is. We haven't inspected it to find out exactly. We tried to, but we can't. To inspect where all the sewer lines are coming in, how they're connected could make it that way. If they are single lines coming in from, then it's a matter of you crossed over your neighbor's lot to get to our sewer line without an easement. But
Okay, I'm gonna put this in your pocket, Dan. Are you recommending that this doesn't need us to take any action? Is that your opinion as the,
well, we are internally taking action to try to figure out what is actually supposed to be up there and is approved to be up there.
okay,
That's what we're doing internally right now, is to try to figure out what was approved. Okay? And if there's files, and the one file is pretty empty, there's not much notes or background in it, to find out who or why did they run it? Was it a private property owner and their contractor decided to do it?
okay, so you're investigating.
We're investigating it
That's,
at this point.
that's all I need.
Yeah.
Where you are investigating it.
Yeah.
If there's some action you might recommend, you'll let us know later.
Yes.
Right now, you're investigating.
Yeah. Right now, priority one is to get the root intrusion fixed, so we don't have any more plug ups.
Right. No, I
And
agree.
then figure out who's done what there.
Okay, okay, you're investigating.
Sorry for using
I didn't know
the
that.
word illegal, but, I know but the core, when I say it, I mean by our ordinance is what's allowed. That's what I'm talking about.
You're investigating.
We're investigating.
Okay, good.
So very possibly what you got, and what I suspect is that the 4 lots that probably are fed into that sewer were not sold early when Terrace lots were sold. And so there was no sewer connection at all for those 4 lots, even though the rest of it, I think you have as-bills for most of the rest of Terrace, don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah, so that being done, the developer, and I always forget his name, but he, when he was able to sell those lots, came up with this sewer line that came up the hill between our 2 lots there and connected them up. And who knows,
Without a permit.
might not have had a permit. Because I mean, not only that, but there's a manhole, about 20 feet in from the road on that property that then goes up the hill. So,
our original as-bills show that as a future extension. It's what it shows it at. It's all Xed out. It was never built to, as far as we know.
Mhm.
It wasn't until this started happening in 2017 that somebody put that line in, but I can't find any paperwork that shows DEQ approved a line, or was it actually put in, with the district's knowledge.
Okay, but you're still looking.
We're still looking.
Okay.
and the manhole, what did it have, about 12 inches of dirt on top of it? So they had to find it. And somebody shaking their heads, he was digging it up.
So it's been raised up to the surface. So now we know that line is there. We know it exists. We've TV'd it. We're gonna do some repair on it, but, we gotta find out what was put in. There's gotta be something somewhere in one of those files. Problem you have is lots get split over the decades.
Mhm.
So which lot did it involve? So that's what we're doing now, is trying to figure it out. But there is no sewer leakage, so everything's been repaired. Under the pump stations, the new Cummins generator, nothing's changed on that. The delivery date is still, I just checked with them, it's still in November, mid-November. So here's the other one, the tree removal, brush removal. I think we discussed that earlier. Do we further discussion on it? I am currently waiting for, Jeff, I think.
Oh, Billy Cloud?
Bill, yeah, I'm waiting for him. He did contact me back. He's interested in looking at it, but he hasn't set a date that we can meet yet. So the treatment plan is requiring repairs. We have some air valves that are air relief, relief valves for the aeration system. We're in the process now. I had to order new ones. We're in the process now of upgrading those out there. I think the guys rebuilt one today, but we discovered we have an electrical issue now from the control panel out to some of the plug-ins and to that one control valve. So we did verify the valve itself is operational, but we're not getting any power out to it. So I'll have to call an electrician in to go out and from the electrical panel out and try to find out why we've lost power. The breaker's not tripping. There's no indication why it wouldn't, but we're not getting the voltage out there. So that was just discovered today. The capital improvement projects, we're nearing the end of the manual transfer switch for the two pump stations. August 30th, as I said earlier, the manufacturer will have their person out here to start it up, test it. They'll load test it for 4 hours. And then after that, we will take it to Netarts pump station and Oceanside pump station. And we will hook them up. We'll get trained on that and we'll run tests. So we will start it up and we'll switch it over to generator power and cut utility power off. We're not calling, they'll shut the utility power off inside. We're not calling to have it disconnected. We're not going to run into a problem with trying to get it reconnect. So, but these are just test and training on the 30th. That should pretty much wrap up that project completely. So West Tech has started on the pre-design report for the Avalon pump station, but it's a priority to get the manual transfer switch done before they can really get started really deep into this. So we're still looking at probably another 30 days out before we see anything from West Tech.
Before they start on this, or?
Well, they've started on some of it before they have a draft to give to the board so they can present us with a draft.
So you think that's what, 30 days, 60 days out?
Yeah, just it keeps getting pushed out the longer it takes to get this manual transfer switch project done. But it is being worked on. I spoke with Xylem on the Ocean Highlands pump station control panel, and it'll be about 3 to 4 months. But he should let us know in about 3 months exactly when the construction and delivery date would be for that project. The UPS battery back on number 6, next page, the UPS battery backup system is here. That's these extra large boxes sitting right here. We did run into a problem. The electrical cord that they put on these were too short to reach the plug-in. So we just received the extension for that power cord today. So IT will have to come back at that time and then we'll finish the change out of the end of the server room.
So this would handle what, the computers and the equipment in the building
This is,
until the generator, the diesel generator kicks in?
so what this does, it keeps your, so if you have all of a sudden a power outage, it takes 10 seconds for the generator to start up, transfer, then get power back to the building. This stops if you have any damage to your computers or system inside the building. So if you go around in the building and you see any red plugins, that's any red plug-in is the office building battery backup system.
Okay.
So that's what keeps your emergency lights on. That's what keeps your computers from crashing or your server or anything like that.
So it's a battery that feeds an inverter that then produces 110.
Yes, yes.
What happens if we run out of power in the middle of the night?
As far as say a generator doesn't start.
Those guys.
So these will, once installed, fully charged, these are expected to go for 24 hours. Under light load. So you would have other stuff shut off that wouldn't be drawn off these. So you would keep your server from shutting down, going out. Computers that are on, SCADA in there also.
Okay.
And then the generator would kick on, and I assume that when the generator kicks on, somebody's phone goes off and says,
If our generator doesn't kick on and we're relying on battery backup, everybody's gonna be shutting all their computers down completely, not to drain these.
Yeah.
So what they're meant for is to give you enough time to get everything powered down without it doing a hard shutdown on you.
Yeah.
So we would have to shut down our SCADA computer. We would have to shut down everything.
but for Jim's question, if something happens in the middle of the night and the generator kicks on, I'm assuming it alerts.
No. It alerts us if it doesn't.
If it doesn't start when there's a utility power outage, the only one that alarms me now, and I think I get it, maybe Brian gets it, is our alarm system, our security system will call me and say, you have a power outage at your treatment plant. And then we get on our laptops or phones and we look to see if the generator started and if we have power back up.
But do you, I don't know, maybe I'm misinterpreting what you're saying, Jeff, but do you know if the generators ever come on? Are you informed of that, or would you not be informed?
No, we would not be informed if they come on, only if they don't come on.
You just come back the next morning and the generator's running.
Okay,
Well, yeah, we can actually show up. If we show up and the generator's running, we know we had a power outage at some point. We go to the SCADA and we look to see when
We also monitor the hours, so we'll know if it ran.
So from the last time it ran, they have all that written down, so we know how long it had been running and stuff like that. But we are only notified if they don't start,
I was only
Or if
asking
they-
because in
or if they start and don't transfer power.
Oceanside seems to be much more, if you'd like Christmas Story, much more fragile with the electrical. So if you don't live in Oceanside, there may be a power outage in Oceanside that other people in Netarts might not even know about, or people in Tillamook wouldn't know about. So I was curious if you got an alert, but
I signed up to get alerts on my phone if there's power outage for PUD.
that's good.
Yeah, oh yeah,
I have that.
Oh, yeah,
I get
everybody
that.
gets those.
Yeah.
Bar hit pole.
So we'd know there was power outage, and then
If PUD has a problem at night, they will call me at home and they will tell me, hey, are your generators ready? We're gonna kill power to this section of Netarts or this section of Oceanside. And
I hope so.
yeah, well, great, it's 2:00 in the morning, but thanks for letting me know.
As far as we know.
This is why we keep our generators maintained. That's why we keep them full of fuel. That's why we make sure the batteries so that they are ready, because you don't know at any time, even during the day, if PUD's got something that have to work.
So these batteries, they'll start up like just right away.
Actually, they're on all the time.
They're on all the time.
They
and
get
they feed a
continuously
transformer.
charged from the wall socket into the battery, so the computer's actually running
Okay.
through that battery.
These are tied directly into a electrical panel. And so when, like I said, all the red sockets, all the other gray ones will go dead. But all the ones that are red will run off of these batteries. All of our computer stations, where there's computers, all have red plugins around them. And that's what's plugged in. Plus, each computer has its own separate UPS battery backup at each station. Just in case we have a failure of this, we still have some time to get those powered down. that answer your?
Yeah, so when the power comes back on,
So when the power comes back on, these just stop getting used.
It just starts recharging the battery again.
Yeah, it
Okay.
just starts going, it switches from auxiliary power back to utility power automatically. This will warn you though, if it's getting low on power,
uh-huh,
we'll also get a warning, a beeping noise on this, that it's getting to the critical stage. That's when you start to panic, when you start having everything beeping at you at once.
right.
Of course, the office manager position has been filled. Congratulations, Karen.
Congratulations.
And thank you for keeping us alive in the meantime.
We still have an open operator position, and we still have an open office assistant, office specialist position. We have been receiving, applications for the office specialist. I'll sit down and go through those with the office staff. When does that end? Next week?
I think the next week goes through August.
Oh, yeah, through the end of August. So after the end of August, we will sit down and go through the applications and,
So you have a few, yeah?
Huh?
You have a few?
We have a couple.
we have 4 or 5, don't we, for the office specialist?
Yeah,
So we'll do another round of interviews. You and Simeon as the guy.
And I looked in the Headlight Herald and both of them are open until filled.
Yeah.
So,
And then, I think we probably not gonna have much of a problem filling the office specialist. We're having a problem filling the operator. Right now I'm requiring an operator with a grade level 1 or grade level 2. We're not getting any applications. Only applications we're getting are somebody that just wants to get a job.
And Dan, we talked last time, I think, about there's a school or a program where they can get like almost like an internship for you guys to get their operator, or is there somewhere they can?
They
can,
used to
like,
be able to sign up at Lynn Benton
That's what it
in
was. Yeah.
in Corvallis, but I don't know if they still have that.
So this is totally random, but would the board ever consider giving a scholarship to somebody that's gonna stay in the community? We're doing the same thing with EMTs. It's hard to get EMTs in the community. So our district has been giving scholarships to people that are going to stay in the community, at least for the foreseeable future. It's been paying for those classes if they'll give us a 3 or a 5-year commitment. I don't know if it would be something we could take one of these, an applicant that we have a good background and a good interview with and say, we'll send you to this class at Lynn.
Generally in this, you don't have to send them to classes like that. You internally train. Before you become a certified operator, you have to be on the job for 12 months. Now, you don't have to be hired there. It's just like the preferred worker program. You come in and you'll pay them and you'll train them. And at the end of that, they'll be enrolled into, home courses through California. And what they will do is they will train for 12 months. We'll do 6 months collection, 6 months treatment. That gives them also the ability, now DEQ will allow them to become certified operators at the end. Because they need both. They need the courses approved by DEQ for OESAC credits. And then they also need 12 months of on-the-job training before they become qualified to become
I
certified.
see head nodding. That's what you guys did, basically.
That's what I
Operating.
Everyone against the wall back there.
So I'm just wondering, like, how do we find somebody that we can put through that process to fill that position?
Well, we take applications. So what I'd have to do next is change the ad to now include, we'll also start accepting applications for trainees.
Do we have any internal referrals, like from you guys that know anybody that would be potentially interested that doesn't have the certification, but that would be a good fit? That's how I've been trying to find people in the community is,
Word of mouth.
yeah, word of mouth.
You've got a preferred worker coming up.
So, yes, I was notified a couple days ago from the preferred worker program from Brian Weeks, vocational, Inc. And he has somebody that will finish up with their doctor stuff and get their medical release, September 11th, I think it is. So I felt that most board members would rather pay for training if somebody else paid for the training. So, and it is quite a cost savings for us. You know, for the next 3 years, you get benefits for that, right? So,
You're welcome.
yeah,
Whatever we can do,
that's why I always look at you.
It's my program.
no, whatever we can do to help you get
Yeah.
folks to fill the positions.
Yes. Well, 3 of us here were all preferred worker. Lincoln, myself, and Brian were all preferred worker.
Nice,
So Brian was federal, but Lincoln and I were state.
nice. That's good.
So we will get it filled, but right now I'm not advertising for training. So,
Jeff, it seemed, was it a year or two ago that you had a number of high school students and they were really into the computers and that part of the operation, but for what you're dealing with as far as sewage goes,
Yeah,
that they kind of turn their noses up to an
So to
extent.
no pun intended. Yeah.
Glamour.
Once it comes to manual labor, we lose
Yeah,
90% right off the bat.
ours is, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the right words. Anyway, you start to talk sewer, it's not really a glamorous type of job that somebody looks forward to. So,
Strangely,
Heady
yeah.
atmosphere.
Strangely enough, there are a lot of similarities in what I do because of the EMS portion.
Oh,
We
yeah.
deal with a lot of
mhm.
sewer type incidents. So all of the kids coming out of high school want the cool t-shirt that says firefighter. But then you throw them in there with somebody that's having an issue like that. That's their last
Yeah.
day.
they
Can
see
I
the
keep the
hero
t-shirt?
part
No,
of it.
you cannot keep the t.
I've had, I've hired, make it, when they finally come to work, start their first day of training, I've had them make it 2 hours a while.
Yeah.
Okay, well, to parse this out then, looks like you're gonna have to do one of two things, or maybe both. You may have to change our notice of a position to trainee and/or maybe look to the preferred worker program. And both of those things are gonna be happening at the same
Which
time.
we're doing now. I want to give a full 30 days
Oh, sure.
to look for certified operators. I've only been emailed by one that I know is a certified operator, but he's anti-vaccine. So that's kind of a bell stopper for him. Right out of the gate. And I've talked to the staff and they're not really willing to, after we've all went through it, they really don't want to take the risk of hiring somebody that will expose them as well, or put them at risk. So. I
Let
see
him
no
know if
reason to
he
change
is,
the
if he
policy.
is curious, the new Moderna is not killing anybody so far. So
Yeah.
Pfizer's is
Oh, God.
all gone. But
So anyway,
that's pretty safe.
That's where we're at with these 2 open positions. We are still advertising, we're still taking out. We'll probably have specialists filled before the operator.
So we're down to the operations summary
Operation summary.
and your concerns, yeah.
I just think we should review it when we have the time to put it on the next month's agenda
Okay,
and just kind of go through, so everybody's on the same page as far as things that we're gonna be thinking about budget time.
I suggested maybe that, I mean, we haven't done any kind of future planning. We haven't had any workshops. Seems to me that would be a component.
That's where my head's at.
that-
why I'm
rather than
bringing
try
this
to
up.
Wedge it into a meeting as an agenda item, we give ourselves a board workshop, then really something over a number of these topics in more detail, physical infrastructure and we've talked about it too.
Yeah, and we need to, I think it'll help really jumpstart those type of meetings, is we need to go ahead and approve, ask West Tech to update our facility plan. It's now at about 5 or 6 years old. We've already have completed some of those items that needs to come off the facility plan. Get put back, for another 20 years out.
Yep.
But look at stuff more pending that we're coming up against. So I will get I've already asked West Tech for an estimate.
Because that would serve as a foundation for the workshop. Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of the
Yeah,
foundation.
and
Document is the.
what I like about it is the board will get a lot of information. And then we can sit down and before they finish, West Tech finish, we can prioritize some of that for them to put into our facility plan.
And it'll make future meetings more efficient too, because you won't have to explain a lot of things. Because we're already.
Yeah, because I'm already working off of that plan, so I'm already, ahead of some of that stuff, but, yeah, it would help the budget. It would help you a lot to see what we're looking at, what needs to be done.
And I would urge, the key staff also take part in that workshop.
Staff?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, because they're part of the input process with the engineers anyway.
And
So
resource,
when shall we do that?
resource for us too.
Board decision. I'm here all the time.
Well, how long is it gonna take to get an update for the facilities plan?
Let me,
Since that needs
I
to be
will
done
give
first.
them, I'll send Chris an email, at West Tech. And I'll send it to Denny. Denny's, much more at West Tech is the one that usually works with me on the facility plan. So I'll get a hold of both of them. They're both principals at West Tech, so.
That has to be done first. That'll help us set a time. It's knowing when that's gonna be ready.
Okay, I'm not understanding what you guys are talking about.
The facilities
The
plan.
facility
Do the
plan?
facility. plan
Right,
and
but
then- and
that
then-
takes it like a year. Put that together.
No. West Tech's already done 2 of our facility plans. They're gonna go in and update it, not write a new one.
So is this
So,
an amendment or just a new?
Well, yeah,
plan?
so,
Mark my words.
so, a
This is
facility
not your
plan,
first.
I've been to two of these, two of them.
yeah.
Okay. It didn't just happen.
No, I'm not saying, but it's not gonna take a year.
Okay,
It's not gonna take a year.
even with the improvements that are happening up on the top of the hill there and,
Well, those will be added in
okay,
to the facility plan, because now we know of those projects.
okay.
We didn't have them in the current facility plan because those projects weren't going.
Well, I'm not
So-
gonna argue about how long it takes,
Alright.
but,
We're starting,
Well,
I don't know how
we're
much use it
starting-
would be to have that kind of a workshop without an updated plan to work from, because a
I
lot
hear
of
you.
stuff that we decide will be undone.
I think we
Information's
can do
out
it
there.
concurrent with those workshops so that you have current information. Plus you can give your feedback of what projects you think are more of a priority. We can have the engineers put those in as a 5-year plan, not a 10-year or something.
okay.
All right, so moving along. Old business, we've more or less talked Avalon pump station project already. I think you do your report and the Oceanside pump station upgrade hotels. You've more or less said that's static as far as what's going on. So new business system development charge, 320 Promontory Lane. I left this a little bit nebulous in that, if you want to kick it off, Dan, real quick. But it has to do with a delinquent person as far as the SDCs are concerned. If you want to.
Okay,
Explain a
so
little bit.
we have a contractor / builder. I believe he owns the property. He's building on the property himself. He asked to connect to our sewer line, several months ago. So when he did, we gave him approval. The office billed him out for his SDC fee, inspection fee, and then start user fees. Even though he hasn't even put a foundation in, that's how he wanted to do it. So he's been billed that. Since May, he's been contacted by the office several times. We've sent him numerous invoices. He's not responding at all. He would call and tell the office, I'll be up tomorrow, or I'll be up later to pay it, and he never shows up. Now he's cut off all communication. Now he's not even answering. But his lateral is connected. It's not being used, so there's no house there, but our ordinances stay, once you connect to the sewer system, you are now charged user fee. because now you can use it anytime you want. So it's now grown to where they're invoicing, I fined him $500 and doubled his user fees as a fine per ordinance, and still no response. And so now we're into what, the 5th or 6th month? And still no response from it. And it's over $15,000.
So what's the what's our protocol for this? Is there a way to lock it out?
Well, it's not so much, he could have simply stopped all this by digging it up and disconnecting it. Then we would have just put it back in bare land file and it would have been the end of it. But now we can't get him to even communicate. That's the problem. It's connected. The guys drive up there, kind of police it, see if there's any activity. I haven't seen no activity, and we haven't heard from them.
They just started building a driveway
So there is activity.
just the other day. They poured gravel.
Okay, I didn't
Not,
know.
it wasn't him. I haven't seen those two guys that were up there anytime previous.
So
But he's got a building permit.
He has a foundation.
what if it was sold?
We didn't get any notification from the county or anything that it's sold and it's got a new owner now. So it's still under the same person's name only.
Is he up to speed with all the other permits?
I don't know. I have no idea. I know the building permits are good for like up to 2 years or something like that. So he's got a permit to build. Only now we're spending a lot of our time going up there trying to get a hold of him to pay. So since he's cut off all communication, I've never had this. Usually the fine and doubling the user fee gets their attention. And then most of the time I would just reverse that if they would come in and pay. But now we're not even, he's had that fine for almost 2 months now and still no communication.
File a lien. Do we have have we done that before?
One other time what we did was the board had me have the lawyer write them a letter from our attorneys, write them a letter with X amount of time to respond. If not, if here's the problem with not paying, this isn't a sewer fee, this is an SDC charge. If you put a lien on it and you assign it to the county, then it takes you years before you ever get that money.
But we're really not out. I mean, he's not using the service. This is
Well, he's not using service, yes, but they just informed me, and this is the first time I just found out that he's already building a foundation.
Can we disconnect somewhere else? Can we, and I don't understand how.
there's two different things going on.
Can we go 10 feet off of his property and disconnect?
We can only go up to the property line. We cannot go. We cannot go past their property line. Now we have another expense of hiring an excavator to go dig it up and cap it off.
So this isn't like high school, we can just flush an M80 and.
Yeah. And we don't usually like going and digging in the sand up there, for obvious reasons.
Promontories 10, 15, 20 feet deep in laterals in solid sand. I mean, it's nothing but sand.
So then you got.
Well,
That one.
I'm open to your
risk and
recommendation
everything else.
in a normal situation like this. If it's not money out of our pocket over time in terms of our operation, this is basically a fee that, we're not making, I guess, and it's collecting interest, I assume, or there's an interest rate on the unpaid bill.
On the user fees.
We charge out a late fee and an interest
That's
to
what-
user fees, but not to.
Oh, but not
the
SDCs.
No,
That's a whole.
The charges, that ordinance is 40 years old. So it needs to be updated, may not change that much, but nevertheless, it's somewhat of an ancient document.
Do our options change or expand if he starts actually using it? Is there any other, does that create any other options for us to get it addressed or to react to it?
We don't care if there's a physical building built there. Our ordinance is.
No, I get that, Dan. That's why I'm saying, yeah, we don't. If there's nothing physical happening to us, we've got this debt.
Mhm.
That's all. It's not using our manpower. It's not using our, it's not draining us. It's a debt.
Mhm.
So let's just treat it as a debt at this point. I just wanted to know, what if it starts being a drain because he starts hooking it up and using it? Does that give us any other additional options we don't have now? Because it's just
Not
a
that,
debt.
not that I'm aware of, but we've never had anybody since I've been here not pay their SDC. Not pay user fees, we have a remedy for that. But not system development.
So we'll just.
All I would
keep
normally do is file a lien. I mean, if it's gonna take us months to get something anyway, put us ahead of all the other people he's probably not paying. Get a lien on it. And then just
Would you be,
wait until it matters. So he tries to sell the property, we're gonna get an action. You know,
would you be okay if we did both? If we had our attorney send a letter and without the lien?
I'm
Or what do you want to do?
not I don't care. I don't think I don't think lawyers are magic.
It just
being
costs
on-
$500 and then he throws that in the trash.
I don't expect him to pay any more attention to that than a letter, you owe us double the fee, but there's no harm. I don't mind the lawyer sending it. It's just that lawyer does it and he's gonna give him more time and warning. And then we're still going to end up filing the lien, but I'm fine. It sounds to me like you've given him all the rope.
That's why I finally brought it to the board.
Yeah,
Because now it's grown to a point where it's gone on for months. And he's made no attempt to, now he won't even contact us.
I mean, you can have a
But
lawyer
I am
inform him. There's a
concerned.
lien.
I am concerned now that he is active in building on it.
I would start, I agree with you. I think we should start the lien process. Because that could really slow him down in the county in a lot of different ways, I think. Especially if he's gonna start the build process. I think that could really slow him down with Sarah.
I can't really agree with that at this point because I'm worried that we're gonna set a precedent that every contractor now doesn't pay their system development charge. All they can do is wait to us to lien. If they ever sell their property, they'll pay us.
I just don't
What do you want to do?
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
see
you
any
haven't,
of the-
I haven't heard anything you want to do. We can hire a guy with a wrench.
Well,
He'll break his leg. I mean, what do
like I
you,
said, this is all new territory. We've never had anybody ever not pay their system development charge.
I think we either cap it
or
or do a lien or both.
I don't know if you can, going on his property and fooling around.
Oh, maybe not off. I'm not suggesting we trespass. And
The way we're set up to do it now, the tax
Assign it to-
year and we send it to their.
This is all new territory. We'll have to come up with a process. Okay, we don't have to do it tonight. The board can think about it, do it. But in the past, like when we had the issue with overtop our, building on our easement, we had to go through legal counsel for that one.
I'm sorry, she said, can we add this to the county tax bill?
Well, we wouldn't do it again until June of next year.
But that's something we can do, because that's cheaper than lien.
We can.
And I'm
the
totally,
county-
So you're not worried about when you're gonna collect it?
No, I'm assuming we're not gonna collect it, since we haven't. I don't know ways to make it happen now that you haven't already tried. I'm open, but at this point, I want to protect our legal position, because if he's not paying us, he's probably not paying other people. And if there's gonna be a bankruptcy, or there's gonna be, some process where being first in line matters, I want to be first in line. But if we can get the county to be our enforcer by putting on the county tax bill, isn't that the cheapest option of all?
They may not be able to do that.
I think it's the cheapest option to assign it to them. You just don't know when you're ever going to collect.
Do you know it now?
No, I don't.
Okay, then
No,
what's
no, that's what
the
I'm saying.
harm?
When I worked for the city of Lakeside, we would go out with a contractor, we would dig it up and we would sever the line, we would cap it off,
Mhm.
okay? That now makes their building permit void.
Mhm.
because you can't build without sewer.
I heard no enthusiasm for that option from you, but if you show me some enthusiasm, I'll support it.
Well, we've never done it before, and as Brian pointed out, those sewer lines in the Capes are deep and it's all sand.
And make up your mind, do you want to do it or not?
It's in the Capes. So have we involved their HOA and things like that?
No, like I said, this is new.
No, I apologize. I didn't know it was in the Capes, but I think we could probably contact their HOA and be like, hey, just to let you know, I'm just shooting from the cuff here. We're fixing to dig up a huge amount of sewer line because guy at this address is not responding to our calls because their HOA could stop everything on that build.
So let me propose something. Can the permit issuer, which would be Tillamook County Planning, can we contact them and say that we are revoking the sewer availability letter on that permit?
I think Sarah would be very supportive of if they're not paying, I think Sarah's office would be supportive.
Doesn't that letter just say we have the capacity?
That letter says that there is sewer available from the district to that property. That's basically all it says.
Okay, that's good lawyering. Because I thought it was just capacity, but availability.
No, it's availability.
Yeah. Yeah.
So perhaps what we can do is let's start listing over the course of this month all the possible options we think there are, and then reconvene and discuss the matter next month rather than trying to beat it up some more tonight.
We'll do some research, see how deep that line is, see what it would take to, of course, we'd have to hire a contractor with an excavator to get in there. Once we cap it off, if we go that route, we can notify the Tillamook County Planning that that sewer has been cut off, that's probably no longer have sewer available.
I have a better feeling knowing that it's in the Cape, that they're owed, if we used our attorney to contact their attorney, I think they would respond. And I have a good feeling Sarah's always been super helpful when I've had some kind of somebody being dumb about some kind of a fire thing. She'll use the full weight of the county behind her. I think she's in support of the districts and things like that, trying to keep everything like legal and people are paying their fees. When we find illegal HOA or not HOAs, illegal Airbnbs, she immediately takes care of it, stuff like that.
So what, if I'm hearing you all correctly, over the next 30 days, so next board meeting, you want us to come up with viable options? Not,
It doesn't even have to be viable, but all the options.
okay,
Yeah.
come up with options
Yeah,
that would,
And a recommendation.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, options and a recommendation.
And
Would be the cheapest for the district, not to have to.
The wrench guy is gonna be cheapest, because I know a guy. So if we know where the guy is that's not paying, I know a guy, but
So anyway.
And you,
Public.
What would stop him from
in
continuing
humor,
building
yeah.
and using the service, whether he's paying for it or not, would be a complete disconnection, because anytime that a sewer line is disconnected, we report that to the county, because it becomes mixed. If the house is still there, it becomes uninhabitable. And that's almost, it's that fast when they have no sewer to their home.
I would think that Sarah would want to know.
Yes.
So,
Okay,
And I
so
think the HOA would want to know. Their HOA
Their
is
HOA will bring the hammer down.
insane.
Yeah.
yeah, it is.
Like,
well, we'll start with the HOA. I'll call the county. Brian can do the research on what it would take to excavate and.
Well, let's present the options and discuss them,
Yeah, that's what I said. We will find out what those, so
but
I
not,
would assume you would want to know if Sarah would even be willing to help. Or
Yeah,
the HOA,
right.
but not necessarily take the action before we
No,
discuss it
No.
next month.
Just tell her you're looking into what,
information
Right.
gathering
Right.
to find out what is out there legally for
Okay.
us.
Okay. Unless there's nothing else, let's go to correspondence real quick. SDIS, you should have a email on your laptop that has the ability to send you to the location where you listen to the 16 minutes on public meetings. And that's something, let Erin know about that. And then once we get everybody to have seen that, she can get that 2% added
Discount.
for the insurance reduction. So take a look at it. It's not something that they recorded that you saw it. You know, it's, you just look at it, say, yeah, I did, and let Erin know. So I did it this afternoon, and it's 16 minutes.
That we'll never get back.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Is there anything else you want to bring up in regard to best practices? Or is that it?
I think that's it for now.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I didn't know if we were gonna talk about the public meeting policy thing, or if we were still, Okay.
I'm gonna take a look at that, of
Okay.
what you gave me, and then come back to the board.
okay,
We don't have a public meeting policy resolution or whatever that really addresses the provisions of the state law adequately. We don't want to make it huge, but nevertheless,
Right.
what we have is pretty skimpy, and it's what, about 8 years old? Something like that. So it needs to be updated. Any questions on that? All right, no executive session, adjourned. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second, approved.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Oh, I was gonna go give Kevin my, nothing to sign.